Okay, it looks like everyone who registered is here, so I'll go ahead and get started. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Sarah. I am on the support team here at Tripleseat. Today, we are going to be reviewing your admin tools and customizations within your settings page. I would like to make a quick note that you are able to chat in questions as you go, and those will come directly to me and we'll answer them as we go along. So feel free to use that there. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start in the dashboard here. All of you should have a dashboard that looks similar to this. And we're gonna go down here on the bottom left to where it says settings. And you should see a page that looks like this. We'll go ahead and start with the general section up here. And we'll start with preferences. So the first thing I'd like to note about preferences is this will modify your entire site. So if you're part of a multi-unit group, just keep that in mind that any updates that you make here will affect all locations underneath that group. Okay, so you can set your time zone, you can set your currency symbol, your calendar start day. So let's say your work week starts on a Tuesday, you can change that here. Your date format on the calendar, as well as your start time and your end time. So if your business is only open for a few hours a day, it just kind of takes away some of the space off of the calendar. You can also opt to include your holidays here as well. This option here is going to show the guest count on that quick snapshot you see in the calendar. So if you'd like to opt to add that, you can do that here. And another note, you'll notice these question marks all around your settings. It'll give you a brief answer should you forget what each setting is. This will kind of tell you exactly what that will do. So going right here, the internal lead notification emails. So you might be set up to receive notifications when a lead is submitted through the form on your site, but this will also send out a notification email if someone manually creates a lead. Below that, this is the task assignment emails. So if you have automatic tasks or tasks within your events, this is what's going to control if the recipient or the assignee should receive an email as well. The revoke e-signatures or change. So if there is a change made to the time, room, documents on an event, but say the contract has already been changed, then it would be automatically revoked. Jumping down here, the event status rules. So by default, you should see that prospect events can overlap with other prospect events. And that's just, if they're in the beginning stages. But as a customer admin, you could come in here and adjust this should you allow for definite events to overlap with other definite. But this can be conflicting and use that wisely. So that's only available to the customer admins. The customer admins can also enable waitlist status or an assigned room. And so what that will do is if you just kind of want to put something on the calendar, but you don't know the area that they'll be at, you can add to assigned room, or obviously if they are on a waitlist status, you can enable that too. Below that, we have the color theme of your page. Again, this would affect the entire group, so whatever selection you make here will affect all locations. Moving on to our drop-down section of preferences. So you might see these different drop-downs all around Tripleseat. There are several that you can customize on your own. So the event types is a really popular one. The referral sources for your leads is a popular one. And I'd like to note that some of them are hard coded into Tripleseat and cannot be adjusted or removed. But you will notice the difference here when you see that lock. Just a quick note about event lost reasons. This is just so that you can make a note whenever you mark an event as lost, and you can opt to allow a text box to appear so that you can enter any other information you might need. And if you needed to add any additions to the drop downs, you would just click here to add another and then update. All right, and also, yeah, you can drag and drop here as well if you wanted to change the order of things. So that is the preferences section. I'm going to go back over to settings. I'll make sure I don't have any questions on that. Looks like I do not. Okay. So next we're going to go down to locations. You can use the search bar here if you have several locations in your account to help you find them easier. To edit your location information, you would click Edit Details. You have the ability to make certain edits, but there are some, what you see that's grayed out here, you can reach out to support on that. That's what we can edit on our end, but the rest you can edit on yours, so your phone number, your logo, your website, any information like that you can edit on your end. The guest portal, you can select your banner photo and then also the colors. So if you want to have it match your brand, you can select the colors that the guest portal will show. We'll get to the rooms in just a moment. Event style is a new feature that we have it's very interesting. So it's going to give you an on-premise, a catering option. So this is something that only the customer admin is able to enable in your site. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to support. We're happy to walk you through that. Like I said, it's a new feature. So please feel free to reach out with any questions on that. Moving down, this is where you would select which users are going to receive an email or a notification when a new lead is submitted or entered. And then below that, you have the option to add a non-Tripleseat user to receive those lead notifications as well. So if they don't need an account or have an account, but you want them to see those, you're welcome to enter their email address here. Okay. So that's going to be the details of the location. And we'll jump back here and look at rooms. So first I'm going to click on Organize Rooms, but I'd like to make a quick note that if you do not see the Edit Room Details option, please reach out to us to make any of those updates. There are some that we would update kind of on the back end for you, depending on the way that the site is set up. So we're going to click Organize Rooms. So here is where you would set, so the perfect example here is the buyout. So if a guest books an event to buy out the entire venue, then obviously you don't want to allow any of the rooms to be booked as well. So this is how we organize this, is that we would nest them. And then let's say we needed to take it even further where the lounge is in the vintage room, you could also do that. So that if the vintage room is booked, the lounge cannot be booked by itself. And just a quick note on that, this page will auto save. So just make sure when you leave this page that it looks exactly how it should. And we'll look at this create and edit if you are able to edit your rooms. So this is where you would add rooms, you can organize them, you can set the capacity, you can opt to ignore conflicts, which is helpful if you have a pickup or that sort of thing. And then a description, this is going to be for you. If you need to delete a room, you can just click this right here. And if you delete a room, you'll be prompted to reassign all of those events to another room. That's a common question that we have. So what that's going to do is that's just going to make it so that any existing events that were in new room are going to be moved to patio or whichever you select. Okay, so we're going to jump back over to our settings. I don't have any other questions at the moment. That's great. Moving right along. Next, we're going to go into user roles. So your site is going to be built with a number of roles that are just kind of default, but you can use them, you can customize, or you can create your own. So let's take a look at the chef role here. So this is going to be one of those standard roles that we add into your account for you. You can enter the name, the group if you have several groups, a description. This is just an internal note for you. So if you wanted to say they can view documents, but they can't edit them, then you could enter that here just to kind of as a note for you. So the chef is not going to be an admin. They're not going to have those access levels. The way that it's set up right now for the chef, they do not have access to settings. So they won't see settings over on their toolbar here at all. But let's say you wanted to give them access to settings and in a limited way. So if you only wanted them to see pick lists so that they could add menus if they had to, you can do that as well. So they would see the settings option over there and then only have the option to click on pick lists once they went there. Moving down, if you want your user to be able to edit users and user roles, you could do that here. And you can even customize exactly which user role they can edit as well. Moving down here to account and contacts. So here they can have the option for no access to accounts and contacts, or just to view them, to edit them, delete them. And it operates the same for events and bookings as well. So if you want them to have no access to events, and then it goes all the way up to administer, be able to do everything for all events as well. So, and it works the same for bookings. So you can hand select exactly what you want them to be able to do. So the leads, it's kind of the same. They can have either no access, they can view leads, they can create and edit leads, delete, or just submit leads. The tasks, this is helpful if you have some users who just don't need tasks. They don't need to see another user's tasks. You can do that as well. They can opt to only see their own tasks. They can opt to see others' tasks and even close others' tasks. So very, very customizable there. The calendar here, this is basically whether or not they have access to the calendar page. Reports, they can, as of right now, they wouldn't see reports over here, but if we added this and then just wanted them to see event details, then we could do that as well, or just lead details. Then they could see that, just that one report. The file library. So this is the attachments that you've stored in your account just for easy access. So the way it's set up right now, they don't have access to that at all. You can set for them to view them, and you can also set for them to view and manage them. Okay, so down here, the documents, you can filter if you have several different documents to make it easier for you. You can filter exactly which location you're going to be working with. So for the chef, we want them to be able to see the kitchen sheet and the menu, but they do not need to be able to edit the template or see the banquet event order or the invoice. So the template here is what you use when you build out your event. So we're going to take that away from them. We don't want them to be able to edit any of those details. And we just want them to see these two items. And you can do the same for your other layouts. And you can just hand select exactly what you want them to be able to see. Okay, do I have any questions about user roles? Okay, so we're gonna get out of there. If you needed to add a new role, you could do that as well. And then there's also a location role. This is a little more custom to your specific location instead of kind of a default global role. Just let us know if you have any questions about the location role, but it's ultimately pretty similar, but it's only available to specific locations. Okay, I'm gonna jump back over to settings. So after user roles, we'll go to users. So this is where you would set up your users. If you needed to remove or suspend any users, this is where you would do this. You would apply the user roles here as well. So you can search by name, location, and the role. If you needed to create a new user, you could do that here. So we'll just click on that. You would just need their first name, their last name, their email, and a title. You can enter the rest of the information, but they can also add that on their end as well. So down here, if you wanted them to be a customer admin, you would select that here. But if you only wanted them to have access to Atlanta and at your service catering, you could do that. You can select their default role here, but you can also select if at Atlanta that you want them to be an admin, so you'll leave it at their default role. But at your service catering, they just need to be able to view it. You can also customize that as well. And you'll just want to make sure if you're creating a user that you look through the different groups and make sure that they have access to everything that they need. Okay, so we're going to go back over to users and we'll click into a user here. If you needed to delete a user, you would click this here, and that would prompt you to reassign all of their events, leads, contacts to another user. If you just needed to suspend a user and deactivate their account, you would just unselect this here, and you would be able to reactivate that later. Okay, so that's the users. Let me make sure that I don't have any questions there. Okay, all right, I'm going to move back over to settings then. And we'll take a look at sales performance goals and reporting. So here, if you wanted to set up your team to enter their sales goals, and then that's what they would see on their dashboard, you could do that. You would see your list of users here. You can add or remove users to it. You can change the period, and then you would enter the amount. So if at your service catering, they did not have any sales goals, but in Atlanta, we expect July to be a busy month, August maybe not so much. You can customize that to your needs. And then you would just want to make sure to click Save Goals. And then you can also come back here and check the progress report. Okay, I will jump back over to settings. Below that, we have the file library. This is what I was referring to with your saved attachments in your account. So you can save your floor plans, menus, anything that you might need that you often send to your guests, you could store here. To upload, you would just click this button here. And I would like to note really quickly that before you add to your account, you would want to make sure that you have the right folder selected. And the reason for this is once you have uploaded a file and it's entered into a folder, then you won't be able to switch it to a new folder afterwards. So you just want to make sure it's uploaded to the right one. If you needed to create a folder, you could do that here. And then this note over here is just showing you your maximum file size. Okay. I'll jump back over to settings. I'll check if I have any questions here. Okay. Okay, so we're going to take a look at automatic tasks. These are really helpful instead of having to create a new task for each event, that you can set up a task or notification to be sent to the user based on a trigger action. And I'll show you how we would set that up. We'd click on New Automatic Task, enter the name, whatever it might be, and then under Trigger, you have several options here. When the event status is changed to definite, you want to get, the final head count, or when an event payment is created, you want to send a task notification to your team to make sure to send the invoice to the guest. Lots of options there for the trigger action, but whenever that action takes place, the task will populate. You can set a note here to say, after the event payment is created, the due date's going to be 5 days before the event. Task type, this is just really for you. So, if you want to kind of keep it organized that way and include it as, a follow-up or a payment reminder, you can do that as well. And those are edited in preferences. The task body, this is just the note that sends to your team to let them know, what their task is, what their reminder is. Over here, you can select which locations are going to receive these tasks. You can set here so the person who triggered the task can always be notified. The smart task assignment, you can select for just the owner of the event, the manager, or the owners and managers. And then here you can manually select which users should be receiving that task notification. So if it doesn't really apply to anyone else, but it has to go to the chef, you could do that here. Okay. Go back to tasks. If you need to edit one, you can just click on it here. If you need to delete one, you can click this red trash can right here. All right, we'll go back over to settings then. We'll talk about direct book in just a moment. For now, we're going to go down to the discussion section. And we're going to take a look at the discussion groups. So this is really nice if you often find yourself sending the same message to the same few team members. This way you can create a discussion group where instead of typing out each of their names, you can just type in the name of the group. So for back of house, this is going to be, all of our cooks, and we, need to send them a message. You can hand select here everyone who's going to be in that group. And make sure to click save. And then in an event, I'll show you how this would look. Oops. And so by selecting that, it would have sent it to all of those 8 users. If you need to create a new group, you can do that here. If you need to edit, you just click on it, and then of course the red trash can on the right to delete. Just a moment here. Okay. So next we're going to take a look at email templates. So I'd like to point out first that there are different types of templates. There's your general email, general event, general booking. You have specific templates for documents, leads, and payments. So just a note that if you created something as a document template, but you're in a lead, it's not going to be visible there. So I just want to make a quick note on that. So you'll only see them when you're in that particular booking phase. So we'll take a look at this one here. To edit it, you would have just clicked on it. This is the name of your template, and then this is the subject. You can opt to include this email in the guest response, which is helpful if you ask several questions and you need them to answer each question one by one. Email signatures, if instead of adding something here, you just want it to default to the email signature that you've set up. You can select which locations it's available at. And so here in the subject, as you see, we have a field. We have a few of them in the message as well. These fields are just going to pull the information based on what was entered into the lead. So to update those or to add those, you're just going to right click and you'll see all of the lead options here, the location options, and then your information as well, just to autofill into that template so that you don't have to enter it each time. The discussion templates also have this really handy toolbar here. You can customize your fonts a bit, the formatting, you can insert links, you can insert page breaks, but I do want to take a note. I want to bring up this insert edit image file. So this is if you want to include photos of your floor plan that you have saved in your file library, you could use that here as well. So that's really helpful there too. Okay. Let me go back to the templates here. So the rest of them operate the same way. They're just different types. Okay. Do I have any questions about templates? Okay, I will move right along. Next, we're going to look at documents and menus. We will start with our pick lists here. So a pick list is any list of charges that you would charge to your guest. The ideal use of this is for food menus, beverage packages, any other charges like a room fee, those can all be entered here. We're going to take a look at one. By clicking into it, we can go to edit. We have the name, the description, this is just for us, which locations it'll be available at, and then we have our pick list here. So one thing I'd like to note, if we click these three dots on the right, you'll see that the line item was the shrimp cocktail platter, but the long description is 5 pieces per order. We'll get to that in just a minute on where that would show up, but I just want to point that out here before we get there. So you can enter in the price of each option. If you have a default amount of something, you can also put that there. So for example, if it's a 4-hour bar and you always know that you're going to have 2 bartenders, you can do that here as well if you're using this for labor. Okay, and so then if we were to add a new item, let's say chips and dip. So we add the item, we're going to select our category, and based on our settings, food automatically applies to all of these fees. The chips and dip is going to be $8, and we'll click add. You always want to make sure you click this add option right here, just to make sure that it is filled in to the bottom of the list, that it's added. And then we would just click save. If you needed to create a new pick list, you could do that right here. Okay, make sure I don't have any questions about pick lists. Okay, let's go back here then. We're going to take a quick look at menu item categories. So we'll look at food since that's what we just looked at in pick lists. So these are connected. These are important because this is how taxes, fees, and gratuity are tied to each pick list item in your account. So for food, we had to give it a category in the pick list. Using that category, it applies everything that we've added here. So if all of your food should only apply to gratuity and sales tax, then you would just want to update that. And then you want to make sure that your location, the correct locations are set up. That's the way that they should apply for each one, because it will set up that way in your events. So like, for example, audio visual doesn't apply to gratuity. So that's where we would set that up. Okay. So we'll go back over to settings. And I do want to take a quick look at content templates. These are helpful if, let's say, you have different policies or terms and conditions based on the types of events that you have. So if a wedding has a different policy than a birthday party, you would want to probably create templates so that the same information isn't defaulted. And I'll go into that in a little bit in documents. I just want to show you where you would create these. So we'll take a look at contract terms. So this is our folder of contract terms. We have wedding events, corporate events, and buyouts. So let's just take a quick look at wedding events. So this is our particular policy information for wedding specific. So this is where we'd enter that information. Again, we have those handy fields here that we can use by right-clicking. And then you would click save, and I will show you exactly where this can be edited, where we would use these. Okay. So I'm going to go back over to settings, and we're going to take a look at documents so I can get in depth on that a little bit more. So the first thing that I want to point out on the documents page is you have different sets of documents here. So this option here, this is your template. This is the actual content of your documents, the text, everything that, that actual content that can be edited. These layouts below, these take fields from this template, and it's a little more cosmetic. They just take those fields and you can design them however you want to on your different forms. So we'll get into that. We'll take a look at this template. Okay. So see here, we can edit text, and I'll show you the difference in just a moment in the layout. So this is what your pick list section is going to look like in the template. Over here, you have the option to restrict to these pick lists. And what that means is that, so if you have, 30 food menus, but you're only using summer 2021 at the moment, and you don't want to clog up by looking through past menus or future menus, then you can unselect or select only what should appear when you're building this document. So if we built this document and we searched for food pick lists, only the $50 menu would appear between these two. This one wouldn't appear. And I would like to note that when you create new pick lists, if you have this set up this way, you will need to go back in here and make sure that that new pick list has been added. Same with beverage, all of your other pick list sections, you can do that as well. Okay. Just want to quickly show you about the terms and conditions. This is where you edit your terms and conditions if all of your documents have the exact same policy. So I'll erase this so that I can show you how we apply that wedding template that we just looked at. So if we click templates and then contract terms, wedding events, whatever we entered there will automatically populate. So for example, if you like the idea of using templates and all events have different policies, then as a best practice, we recommend adding something here just as a note for your team that something needs to be entered here just to make sure that when you send a contract, some policy set is there. Okay. So now that we went over that, so this is the template. This is the page that we're on now. Below that are all of your layouts. So we're going to take a look at a couple of the layouts. So you see the difference here when you click on it, it's not editable. So that's how you know if you're in the layout versus the template. That's the easiest sign. And then one more thing, when we noted about when we were building the pick lists and some of them had a long description, if we want to, let's say the kitchen sheet, we need to make sure that the long description is added to the kitchen sheet. We would do that by clicking on the pick list section, and then we see this box here to customize that. So we've already unselected show price. Like we don't want our kitchen to see the prices, but if you wanted it to, you could add that here. You can customize a few other things, but this description here, right now it says both. I'd just like to note the normal description, that's just the one line item. The long description is just the long description. And both is going to give you that line item and the description that you entered into the pick list. Okay. All right. So just another note here. On the left side, these are your layout items. So this is everything that you built in the template that you can drag and drop to your layout itself. So now whatever you enter in the kitchen notes in the layout in the template is going to appear on the kitchen sheet. So you have all these options, and then down here you have the design elements. So this multiple events table is here. This 2-column container, that's right here. If you wanted to add a gratuity selector to your contract, you could do that. We already have it somewhere else. There it is. So the gratuity selector looks like this, and you would just drag and drop it from the bottom left over here. And if you wanted to customize the percentages, you would just click that, and you can edit the percentages here. Okay, and also your signature, you could also drag and drop that from over here for the guest to sign. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go back over to settings. I just want to double check to make sure that I don't have any questions. Okay, and just a couple of more things that I have here for you. So I just want to take a look at the lead forms. So you can have as many different lead forms as you want to. Let's say that this is our standard. We'll take a look at it. So you have the form name, you can select which locations it belongs to. You can customize the form itself to match your branding for that specific location. You can adjust the verbiage here, and it kind of walks you through exactly what that does say, and you can edit what you want it to say. Down here at the bottom under form fields, you can select which fields are going to be required by your guests. So if you would just want to make sure that they provide the event date and the email address, and then everything else is fine, but you want to make sure they can't submit the form without having these required, that's where you would do that. You can select a minimum guest count. So if they cannot book an event with less than 15 people, you can select what the error message would say. You have the default start hour that you can opt for them. Here's the event style options, the event styles that I mentioned before. So the way that we have it set up right now, the guest would have the option to select on-premise, full-service catering, pickup catering, or drop-off catering. So that's just something if they, it depends on your type of business. Obviously, if you only host events, then you would unselect all of this and make sure that they only have the option for on-premise. Okay. This is your auto response message. So when an email is sent, this is sent automatically. When an inquiry is submitted, this is sent automatically to their email, whatever you wrote here. Okay, and again, the lead notifications, that was back on the location section that we looked at before. Okay, we're gonna go back and take a quick look at this page here. If you needed to create a new form, you could do that here. You can edit all of them by clicking edit like we just saw. Over on the right, your setup codes here, this is what your web developer will need in order to implement the form onto your website. Or you can select view all setup codes to see the codes for everything. Okay. Go back to settings. And then next to lead forms, we have the Tripleseat booking network. This is a public listing. It's a feature on Tripleseat. It can be found in our venue finder, and it just helps you gain more leads. And so any leads submitted this way, they would come in as a tripleseat.com lead source. You can edit the venues this way right here. And then once you edit, you can add your pictures, your descriptions of your rooms, location information and details, whatever you want to add here. And then you would submit to our team. And then our team would let you know once it's published on as just a free listing for you with your Tripleseat account. If you have any more questions about this, you can reach out to support and we can definitely help you get this set up. It's a little involved, but we're happy to help. So you might have some questions there. Okay, back to settings. I'm just gonna make sure I don't have any questions here. Okay, and then the last thing I want to note that I'm not gonna get too far into it, but I just wanna talk about Direct Book for a moment. This is Tripleseat's latest feature. It will allow your customers to quickly book on and off-premise events, in addition to takeout and delivery orders. So it offers a contactless booking, ordering, and payment capability. So the guests can just kind of set everything up on their end. I won't get too far into this, but if you're interested in this, please reach out to our team. The best way to get in touch with us is this help and questions button up here. If you're interested in Direct Book, if you have any questions, you would click help and questions. Have a question is how you're going to get in touch with our support team. Online learning, this is our trainings, our Tripleseat University. And then billing, this is how, if you needed to get in touch with the Tripleseat billing team, this is where you would do that. Okay. So I do have a little bit of time left, so I'll stay on for the remainder of the time in case there are any questions. If you don't have any questions, then I really appreciate you joining today. And please feel free to use this contact support feature to get in touch with us if you have any other questions. Thank you again.